I drove for 6 hours today to meet the man that I truly believe would be the best president for our country. Gary Johnson, former governor of New Mexico, libertarian candidate. He's going to be on the ballot in at least 47 states, and he is what America needs. We don't need Mitt Romney, who doesn't care about 47% of the country, who has written off half of the country because they are not as wealthy as him, because he does not think they'll vote for him, because he thinks they'll vote for Obama. It says a lot about his character that he does not care about half of the people that make up our country. He supports an agenda that would bring us more war, more debt, and tax breaks for the rich. Obama is just as bad. He made so many promises in his campaign in 2008 that he would shut down Guantanamo and end all the wars and bring our troops home and balance the budget and create jobs. And what has he done? Even if it's only because he was cock-blocked by Congress, Congress isn't going to stop cock-blocking him just because he won a second term. He's divided the country. And even though he claims to care about the entire country, he's still divided it. He's not a good president. He is not an effective president. He may be a good man. I have not met him. I do not know. But he is not an effective president. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We cannot expect a different result from Mitt Romney. We cannot expect a different result if we vote for a second term with Obama. We need someone in the White House that will represent the people, that will stop ending our occupation of countries that don't want us there under the guise of national security for the profits of Halliburton and KBR and any other government contractor that's taking their oil and robbing their fields and raiding their houses and killing their civilians and putting them in further poverty, all in the name of democracy. The people want democracy. They will get it for themselves. There are uprisings all over the Middle East, and they know the difference between right and wrong. And we are Americans. We are supposed to be the strongest country in the world, the smartest, the brightest, the fastest, the most innovative. And we are not showing that. We are fighting like idiots over two sides of the same coin. And there's a candidate in front of us that is better for us than anyone else. Gary Johnson. He wants to legalize marijuana because anyone that has smoked marijuana knows it is just like alcohol, if not better, because you don't want to get in your car and drive somewhere unless it's to Taco Bell. You just want to sit home and relax. It makes you friendly. It helps with pain. It helps with nausea, people that can't eat. It's not a bad thing. I think it should be regulated and taxed, and so does Gary Johnson. He wants to end our occupation in the Middle East. I just gave you 1,000 reasons why we should do that. He, as governor of New Mexico, balanced the budget and had $1 billion surplus when he left office. $1 billion. Not that a surplus is a good thing. That money needs to be spent somewhere, but it's better than a deficit. He vetoed 750 bills that would increase taxes or expand the government in New Mexico. He line item vetoed over 1,000 more. He knows what he's doing. He started as a handyman to work his way through college, going door to door selling his handyman services, and built one of the largest construction companies in New Mexico. He knows how to create jobs. He created over 1,000. He knows how to put people to work. He knows that we are smart enough to govern state by state, and we don't need the IRS to take all of our taxes to spend on military and foreign wars. We need that money in the states to take care of our schools, to rebuild our communities. We don't need to be sending that money to the foreign government for them to play around with and create more debt, and for the Fed to print more money out of thin air. $40 billion a month to buy houses? We're just going to give them the land that we need to survive on? So many people are in foreclosure right now and they don't have a place to live. And it's not because we don't have enough houses. It's because our currency is inflated and our interest rates were just too low for people that thought they could afford it. Because everyone wants the American dream, and everyone should be allowed the American dream if they're willing to work hard enough. And that was a promise made by Obama, and under his administration, foreclosures are at an all-time high. And I know that he does not have the power to fix these things single-handedly, but the fact that our Congress is not willing to work with him should be enough to say, hey, he's not effective, he's not getting the things done that he needs to get done, it's time to go. We don't need him in office for another 4 years, putting us further into debt and not accomplishing anything. It's time for the American people to wake up. Our Constitution is sound. It is a living document. We can adapt it to the way we need things to work for today's society, for our progressive views. I know that there are people out there that don't believe that gay people should get married and that abortion should be illegal, but that's your personal view. That's not something that should be legislated by the federal government. If you don't like it, then you should live in a state or a community where no one's going to do that. But that doesn't mean you get to legislate away the freedom of others. Gary Johnson supports freedom. Freedom to do what you want to do with your own life, with your own body, with your own money. He wants to abolish the IRS. He wants to make life easier for everyone, rich and poor, and make sure that we all prosper, not just the 1%, not just the people that can afford to have their voices heard in our government. We need Gary Johnson in office. Take your time. Just take a few minutes to look at his website. www.garyjohnson2012.com. He's got a Facebook page. He's got a Twitter. Go look him up. The mainstream media is owned by supporters of Romney or Obama. So that's all you're going to see. You're not going to hear about Gary Johnson. They don't want Gary Johnson to be president because they'll lose profits. And too bad. America is suffering. We are suffering, and it's time to change things. You are smart enough to know that we need something else. No bought and paid for Democrat, no bought and paid for Republican. We need someone that truly represents the people, and Gary Johnson is that man. I drove 6 hours today just to shake his hand. Just to shake his hand. Mitt Romney was 10 minutes away from me, and all I wanted to do was go and ask him why he hates everyone. Gary Johnson, we need Gary Johnson. Tell your friends, everyone you speak with, say, hey, have you heard about Gary Johnson? Do you know who Gary Johnson is? And just drop a couple lines. Say, hey, he wants to abolish the IRS. Your income tax would be gone. All you would have to pay is a consumption tax. You know how many Americans would be on board for that? The people need to know that he is an option, that he can be president. The people need to know that your views, your fiscal policies, your intelligence will be wasted if you vote for Barack Obama or Mitt Romney. They do not represent the people. The government can only function if they have consent of the governed. And I, for one, do not consent to being governed by someone that does not have our interests at heart. Gary Johnson has our interests at heart. He has a heart. Vote for Gary Johnson. You're not wasting your vote. You're not giving a vote to the other side. If everyone wastes their vote on Gary Johnson, then he will be the next president of the United States, and America will continue to be a prospering nation. Vote for Gary Johnson.